Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to do the in-cab now, so I'm going to start the truck. I'll let my gauges go up. They're going to come back down, and when the fuel gauge comes back up, then I can start it. Okay, my clutch is all the way to the floor. Truck is on. Okay, so we just did our walk around to check for any air leaks on our tandem. So our red button is already pushed in. First step of the in-cab is to release your brakes because our wheels are chalked. We're not going to roll anywhere. Okay, we release those because we're going to build to maximum air pressure for our fan down. So the next thing we're going to do is check our paperwork. We must have 3 pieces of identification in here, or documentation. We have our inspection sticker, inspection receipt, our registration, and our insurance card. So we have all 3 pieces of documentation. We can now go down the road. Alright, so I'm going to check with my seatbelt. I'll bring it all the way out. Make sure there's no cuts or frays. And I'm going to make sure it locks and unlocks. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my driver's side window and mirrors. There's no cracks or damage in my glass, and my mirrors have no cracks or damage, and they're good. So my window goes down and it goes up. Come around to my windshield. There's no cracks or damage. There's no cracks or damage to the mirror. There's no cracks or damage to the passenger windshield. There's no cracks or damage to the passenger hood mirror. I'm going to check and make sure that my defrost works. Turn it all the way up and reach forward to feel the heat. Okay, it is working. Now I'm going to check and make sure that my washer fluid works, and at the same time my wipers should work. Okay, so the fluid works and the wipers are wiping away the fluid, so that works. I'm going to go around to the passenger side. I have 1, 2, 3 mirrors over there with all good glass, no broken or missing glass, and our window goes down and up. Okay, so now I'm going to go above my head, make sure there's no debris in my overhead compartments. Nothing can fall on my head while I'm driving. My hand's still up here, so I'm going to check my map light, make sure it works. My hand is still up here. I'm going to put this one up and we're going to check the horn. That works, so the city horn, and that works. So now we're going to check all of our gauges. In this particular truck, we have a voltmeter. Tells us the power our batteries are getting. Our oil pressure gauge, our water temperature gauge, our tachometer, our odometer, our speedometer, primary air tank because of the P, secondary air tank because of the S, and my fuel gauge, and they're all in good working order. My indicators are working for 4 ways. My left indicator works, my right indicator works, my headlights are on, so my high beam indicator works. Okay? The general condition of all my switches are in good shape. I have these 3 switches that I want to check. These are the most important ones. So your differential lock is in the unlock position. Your 5th wheel lock is in the lock position. And your suspension air is in auto or up position. And the last thing I want to do is check and make sure there's no obstructions on the floor like pop cans, pop bottles, glass cleaner cans that can roll underneath the pedal and obstruct my braking or my fuel. Okay? Now that that's all done, I'm at maximum air pressure, which is between 115 and 135. So I'm going to shut the truck off. I'm going to get my phone out so I can use my timer. I'm going to time for 1 minute here. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a full brake application, which I can lose 8 to 12 psi on my initial. And then I'm going to hold it for 1 minute. I'm allowed to lose an additional 4 psi because I have a trailer on. So I didn't lose any more than 8 to 12 psi on my initial brake application. I'm going to hold it for 1 minute now, and I'm not allowed to lose any more than 4 psi. While I'm doing this, I'm watching my gauges, and I should be listening for audible air leaks. So we can see our gauges are not moving at all. 1 minute. So now I can start the truck. Again, wait for your computer to do the complete reset. Now I can start the truck. Alright, so the truck is started. I'm going to fan down to 80 psi. I do this by pressing the brakes all the way to the floor. I'm stopping at 80 to make sure that my governor puts my compressor in the loading stage, and I can tell this by the needles rising. Can everybody see that? Okay. Now I'm going to fan down to 55 psi or above, and I'm looking for my audible and visual warning devices. Audible, you'll hear the buzzer for audible, and visual, you'll see a little red light here. And they came on around 60, so that's 55 or above, so that works. Now I'm going to fan down between 20 and 45 psi. I'm going to do it fast with full brake applications right to the floor, and my brakes will dynamite. Okay, so that worked. Now I'm going to let my pressure build to 50 psi. Once I get to 50, I'm going to time from 50 to 90 within 3 minutes. This ensures that my compressor is working properly, and during this time, my audible and visual warning devices should shut off where they came on at. So we're going to call that 50 psi, and I started my timer. We have to be to 90 within 3 minutes. Any minute now, our visual and audible warning devices will shut off. Don't get confused with those shutting off that you are at 90 psi, because you are not. Okay, so both of our gauges are around 90 psi, and it took 1 minute and 30 seconds. So now I'm going to build to maximum air pressure, which is 115 to 135. I'm going to listen for my air dryer to purge. That means that my governor has placed my compressor in the unloading stage to allow it to cool down. I should add that while this is happening, everything that you build your pressure back up has to be done at an idle. There's our air compressor. Everything there checked out perfectly. Now we can go out and grab our wheel chocks and put them away.